Hello and welcome back to this channel Stories of the Strange. Before we get into today's story, please terrify the like button and subscribe to the channel Stories of the Strange. In today's story, we are going to talk about the haunted Ethiopian house. Do you believe in haunted houses? Maybe after this story, you will have a better answer to that. So, this story happens in Ethiopia, precisely in a small town called Baltima, where this house was actually known to be maybe haunted. In 1943, this little family, the Brown family, actually left from London to come and install themselves in this small town in Ethiopia. The dad actually found a very nice business opportunity and the mom actually followed him. They had three kids, two boys and one girl. Everything went on well for them until they started hearing strange noises in their house. One evening, the woman was making dinner and she actually had the impression that the chairs were actually shaking. She did not really pay attention because she felt like, okay, this may be my imagination, this may be tiredness. When her husband came to the house, she did not bother to actually tell him about it because she felt like this was not necessary. Few days later, these phenomena continue and they became more and more persistent. While watching the TV, she will actually have an impression that someone changed the channel. Then she will feel, oh, maybe I am tired. When her husband came, she finally decided to recount him everything that has been happening after a while. Her husband thought it may be tiredness, it may be change of environment, change of continent. They decided to go on a vacation. They actually took a vacation a few months later to a neighboring country and they came back. On coming back, things were disastrous. They met their house really scattered, which was very confusing because the woman, being a very organized and clean woman, actually left everything in their space and they actually went with their three kids. So, how could this be? They went around and inquired from the neighbors and everything, and nobody had an answer. No, nobody entered the house. So, how did this happen? This woman went ahead and started cleaning and found out very strange marks on the wall that nobody else would have made. She became very suspicious and very, very intriguing. She finally went and started asking around the story behind the house and the owner before them. It was recounted to them that an old woman lived there and this old woman died alone in the house and was only discovered many months after petrification. This old woman was known to be very, very bizarre and known to have no family member, not nobody to live with. It gets even stranger when these people come back from their vacation and actually sometimes they see some written things on the wall which is written in an understandable and ununderstandable language. This woman starts really, really being scared and putting her husband pressure to leave the house. The husband decides now this is just some very, very nasty things and naughty things from the wife. He decides no, we have to stay in this house and everything. He brings the police in this story and carries on investigation. Unfortunately for them, there is no crime, recorded, there is nothing to actually record down. So the police does not really take interest in their story. Unfortunately, it gets really bad for them few years later when their first son actually suffers from a fever and starts speaking in very strange languages. This child could not have known this Ethiopian native language because they actually grew up in Britain. How could this be? They actually had to bring in pastors and other religious leads to explain the situation to them. This religion lead finally told them about this old woman that had lived there and that still haunts the house. These people were actually obliged and told to actually leave the house to be separated from everything that related. The father decided not to listen and tried to bring medical solutions in. This child was brought from many hospitals to hospitals, was taken all around country and no solutions were found. Scans were made, everything was good on the scans, yet this child kept feeling fever, kept feeling bad and everything. Finally, the wife had to put a lot of pressure for them to leave because she did not want her son to die. This family left and another family came in a few weeks later. This new family actually felt the same effects and the neighbors had to tell them about what previously happened. They decided not to believe because they were stronger archaeologists and went into digging more into this story. They actually broke down a few walls and dug more And what they discovered was terrifying. They discovered a few skeletons in the wall. Who could they be? After proper investigation, proper knowledge, and everything, the police and the scientific records recorded that these kids were actually kids from the mother that died many, many years ago. Did she bury her own kids in the wall? How did they get there? Everybody knew this woman had nobody with her. So where are these people coming from? Could they be the one haunting this place? The question fused. Now we will never know. This family went ahead and did more investigation about who this woman was, but could not find anything related to her after her generation. They could not find anything related. They could not find any roots. They could not trace back her generational tree. Who was this woman? Where did she come from? Was she even Ethiopian at all? Nobody knows. This family kept on living there thinking that after exhumerating all the skeletons, everything was going to be fine. Unfortunately for them, this couple's kid started hearing strange noises at night and started complaining. He complained for a while, then started feeling the presence of someone in his room later on. How could this be? The mother got scared and decided, oh, we cannot stay in this place anymore. And the dad just agreed to that. Knowing the story of the past family that were there before them, they decided not to take the risk of having their kids sick and have something that was bad. They finally decided to pack out, but they were convinced by the house seller not to go. They were told, oh, prayers will be done, things will be done. Spiritual people will come and do a lot of prayers and a lot of purification. This family decided to give it a last chance. Taking that decision was actually the drop that was not necessary because, unfortunately for them, they finally lost their child. This child died in a strange way in his sleep from a sudden illness. Now, how could this be? He was not sick, he had no issues, he had no problems. The child could not just die in his sleep. Medical certificates were made, medical investigations were made, and nothing was conclusive. How could this be? He died suddenly. This grief was too much for the family and they finally had to move out. From then, no other family or no other person dared to actually stay there. A few years later, the police actually carried on very, very good investigation on this place. Scientific people turned out to carry out investigation and understand what was happening exactly here. Investigations were carried out, places were taken, instantiations were taken and everything, but nothing was found, nothing conclusive, nothing concrete was actually found. Unfortunately, investigations had to be dropped down because of no proofs. The neighborhood finally decided a few years back to actually burn down this house in order to purify the neighborhood. This house was finally burned and nobody ever found out what exactly was happening and how exactly all the paranormal things that happened in this house actually happened. On the next story, we have the story of another house. This time around, not haunted, but lived by another person. This happens on the 16th May 1932, where this woman discovers that another person lives in her house on the ground. Now, this can be crazy, yeah, I know, but this story actually is true. It happens when this woman actually starts suspecting very strange noises. She goes out, comes back and realizes that the food that she left, for example, is not the same quantity. Now, mind you, this woman lives alone, so there is no reason why food should not be the same. In the beginning, she suspects hallucinations. She feels maybe she has been alone. She has two cats. She feels maybe the cats have been doing their part in this. But then again, she realizes that it could not be the cats. The places where she keeps the food are too high. Sometimes she comes back from work and she notices the position of her chairs have suddenly changed a little or something. In the beginning, she did not really take these things serious as though she felt like maybe she's tired, she's hallucinating or stuff. But as time went on, she started feeling really suspicious and her inner instinct kept telling her that there is a presence in the house. Finally, after having a lot of suspicions, a few years after everything started, she decided to go to the police and report the case. Unfortunately for her, she had no proofs and nothing to show for, so these people did not get interested in her case. She turned out to a local journal and explained the situation to them. This local journal was known for paranormal stories and investigations, and they got interested in this situation. They actually got interested, got into investigation, and tried to find out exactly what was happening in that house. They started, and over months and months of investigation did not find anything. Finally, they decided to go to the police and report the case. Unfortunately for her, she had no proofs and nothing to show for, so these people did not get interested in her case. She turned out to a local journal and explained the situation to them. This local journal was known for paranormal stories and investigations, and they got interested in this situation. They actually got interested, got into investigation, and tried to find out exactly what was happening in that house. They started, and over months and months of investigation did not find anything. Finally, they decided to abandon. This woman kept on feeling this same way, kept on having this same impression, and kept on insisting on what may have been in her house or is in her house. In the beginning, she suspected a ghost, but later on realized that it's something more physical, more present. Finally, few years after this other journal left her, she found another journal that actually got more interested in her and believed in her story. This woman went ahead and counted them, everything that happened, all the activities and paranormal stories. These people actually looked for a solution and trapped this person. Finally, it was discovered that someone has been living in her underground for the past 20 years. How could someone live 20 years on the ground? How would you feed? How would you move? It was also discovered that this person would come to the main house when she is not around. Now, this gets very scarier when the police arrest this person and no trace of the person is found in the system. No parents, no uncles, no aunts, nothing to be shown for. Unfortunately, there is no end to this investigation and the person is finally taken to a psychiatric ward. Follow up for another episode and another passionating story and as captivating as this one on Stories of the Strange. Thank you.